Hi guys, my name's Rob, I'm a smartphone filmmaker, and today's video is a review of the Moondog Labs Anamorphic Lens. Now it's a really exciting video. It's going to be a very detailed, in-depth video on the Moondog Labs Anamorphic Lens. We're going to talk about the clamp-on version, the bayonet version, how to attach them, how to de-squeeze your footage in Filmic Pro, and of course we're going to look at the landscape shots and the flares, as flares are what people buy anamorphic lenses for really, isn't it, as well as the wider aspect ratio. So hit the subscribe button, enjoy this video, let's get into it. So here we have the Moondog Labs Anamorphic 1.33 times lens. Now this is the clamp-on version. There is the bayonet version, which I'll be talking about shortly. With this one, you got a little latch on the back, and if you flip it open, you can see which phone this is meant for. So this is my iPhone 6s. Yes, it's an old banger phone. Get over it. And then as you turn over the flap, that pad closes in to lock it into your phone, so it's nice and snug. It's a really tight fit. I thought it would be a bit loose and dodgy, but it's really great. It's a snug fit. And then as you turn it, you can see there in the gap, that's where your lens will go in. So essentially what you do is you turn this on its side, and then it slots onto the side of your phone across your lens. And you get this nice, very simple plastic case. It's pretty decent. You can just chuck it in your bag or in your pocket and know that your lens is going to be nice and safe, and it slots in very easily. Now, the clamp-on version can be used from an old phone like an iPhone 5 or 5S, all the way up to an iPhone 8 Plus. If you're using the bayonet version, which is the 37mm, and I believe they've got another version as well, that can be used obviously on any phone, and then you can use that with a Beast Grip Pro, something like that, and then attach it using the clamp-on bits there. And then you can use it on a phone rig such as the Moment ones as well, the phone cases, or you can use on a Rhino shield, that kind of stuff as well. And then to film outside, obviously you need ND filters. So this Moondog Labs adapter, the 52mm adapter, which you can use a step-up ring for as well if you need to, you just unscrew this and then you slot it over the actual adapter lens itself. Now obviously if you're going to film outside, you're going to need an ND filter. So the Moondog Labs adapter, which allows you to put on ND filters over your anamorphic lens, is really great. So you just unscrew that, loosen it up. After that, it just slots nicely over your anamorphic lens. And then once you've done that, you just screw it back on and it'll be nice and snug and tight fit. So this is the shots that you get without an anamorphic lens. We all know this is what we usually film with. It's a nice shot, but you're not getting the kind of wide aspect ratio, and it looks a bit filmic, but maybe not quite high budget. This is without de-squeezing it using an anamorphic lens. So before I show you with it de-squeezed, I'm going to show you, of course, in Filmic Pro, how to de-squeeze it. So you go into settings, go into hardware, you scroll down, and then at 1.33 times anamorphic adapter, you press that toggle, switch it on, and then you get the letterboxing or the black lines above and below, and that turns it on to the de-squeeze mode, so you're seeing exactly what you want. Now something else you can do is to de-squeeze this preview only, which means that whilst you're filming it, you'll see it de-squeezed, but the second it goes into your files and you go into post-production, it won't be de-squeezed. So I never turn this on, I always leave it off like this. That way it de-squeezes it in camera, and it'll stay de-squeezed whilst you're filming as well, and in post you'll save yourself time. So don't turn it on like that unless you want to de-squeeze it in post, turn it off. And this is what happens and how it looks with it de-squeezed with the anamorphic lens from Moondog. So you get a wider aspect ratio, it looks really beautiful. It just looks a lot more filmic in my opinion. It looks more like a high budget film, something that you're going to see in the cinema, or even, you know, sort of high level TV dramas and things like that. Now this is the difference between side by side, your standard and the anamorphic, just to show you quickly. Now it does give you just a much more bigger scope of things. If you want to get landscape shots, it just makes things look a lot more, I suppose, Hollywood. And the wider aspect ratio allows you to tell a slightly different story too. You can fit more in. So if you've got a path junction like this or a road junction, you can get a lot of busyness in there. You can fit a lot more in. You can have people coming from all sides. It just makes it feel a bit more busy and a bit more, again, high end. And you can get nice angle shots like this, where you've got this triangular path here in the middle. You've got the bridge on the right, the railway bridge in the distance. And it just makes it feel more busy. Even when there's only a few people here, it feels like you're somewhere that's different if you had a smaller lens. And again, with different types of angles, you can get different types of stories to be told. And when you've got a wider aspect lens, you can just be able to give a different story. And as I say, it's great for landscape shots as well. So if you've got stuff like this, where you've got kind of a sense of depth with the branches closer to your lens, you can create something that looks much more Hollywood, much more high budget. And it just makes everything look a bit more plush, I think. Now, with this anamorphic lens, obviously it weighs a fair bit. It's not super heavy, but it does weigh approximately 43 to 48 grams. Now, whether that works with your gimbal or not, and how you work with that with your gimbal and weights and things like that, if you go to the website, it's all there, and they've got graphs and grids to show you whether your lenses will work with your phone and that kind of thing as well. Now, I use the Osmo Mobile 3 gimbal. So with this, I use my Ulanzi counterweights, and to use it with the lens, the adapter, and the ND filters all together, I have to use all three of these counterweights. Now, the lens, adapter, and ND filters weigh slightly more than these weights, but it balances really well. And once you get it in line, it actually works nice and smooth, and I haven't had too many issues with, like, you know, the motor burning. I haven't had any issues actually with the motor burning, anything like that. As long as you keep it nice and balanced with the weights, it generally works really smoothly. On to flares. Now, outside during the daytime, you can get really nice flares. You can make nature kind of B-roll if you're doing holiday shots, or if you're just doing B-roll for films and that stuff as well, or reveal shots of characters. The shots moving across work really well with these flares. With the flares on these images, you can really see how they're very subtle. I love the moment lenses as well, but for me, their flares were a bit too thick and a bit dominating on the image. Whereas as you can see with these shots, it's quite subtle and it's quite beautiful, and it really adds a lot to the image that you're getting on your phone and with Filmic Pro or whatever you're shooting on. And also, you know that these lenses are good when films like High Flying Bird, that's on Netflix, Blue Moon, which is a great feature film, which is being released soon actually, and Tangerine by Sean Baker, and of course, Broken Zen by me. So check that out on my YouTube channel as well. That's all with the anamorphic lens. Now, as we move into nighttime, the dark shots, this is just me with a torch in the hallway. It's just a simple little tiny torch with a blue light. You can get really nice, sort of not thick blue flares, but thicker if you move closer to the lens. And when you go outside, you get this beautiful flare as you're looking through these treetops here. And this is just a lamppost, a street light. And as the flares dance side to side, you get a really beautiful, stunning kind of image there. And it also gives this starry effect as well. So when you've got these yellow street lights, it looks like you're looking up at stars almost. It makes it feel a bit more magical. Also, with moving traffic, if you live in a city, somewhere like that, you're going to get really great flares off cars and vehicles. This one that looks like it's pulsing is amazing. One of my favourite shots. And then again here, you've got the horizontal and vertical lines of the flares coming out when you're looking at street lights as well. So it creates this different image. I didn't actually expect that, but it's a little bonus as well if you want to create something that looks a bit different. And here, when you're moving the lens side to side, up and down, you just get that lens flare movement, which you get in really high-end Hollywood films as well. It just makes it look like you spend a lot more money than you actually have on your film, to be honest. Here you're getting that starry effect from the lights, the lamppost, the cars in the distance, the lights on the left. And if you've got lights lined up nicely, you can get the flare and move it from one light to another. So that's a nice little thing you can do, a nice little trick, a little tip. And then even at more of a distance to the lights as well, you still get that flare. You don't have to be super close to it to make a really nice shot. And I've loved working with this lens, and the nighttime shots look superb. Well guys, as you can imagine from this review of the Moondog Labs Anamorphic Lens, I thoroughly enjoyed working with this. I know the other companies like Moment are really great as well, and Ulanzi got some nice anamorphic lenses. But for me, the subtlety of the flare on this really stands out. You don't want one that kind of overtakes a shot and the whole film or whatever you're filming is all about the anamorphic flare. For me, this kind of adds to the shots rather than takes away a little bit from it. So for me, this is a must buy. It's my favourite anamorphic lens out of everything that I've seen in reviews and stuff. That's why I bought it. So if you enjoyed this review, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button so you don't miss out on any more smartphone filmmaking goodness. Take care, see you on the next one. Bye bye.